August the 24th, 2015. This is CISG114, Section 2, Web Technology and Light. Today is the first day of the class in the fourth semester. So let's get started. Well, welcome back. Class is videotape, okay? It's going to be on YouTube, so it's very important that I got everything straight. Welcome to this class called General Education Course, CISG 114, Section 2. Okay, the name of this course is Web Technology Online. Okay, it's a general education course because it's a little bit different from the major course. In the major course, we very much emphasize on content delivery, but in the general education course, we help you to acquire a very important lifelong skill called learning to learn. Now, normally, students embarking on this course come from secondary school first year, and so you are well trained in what we call taught to learn model. Okay, taught to learn. You always need some teacher to teach you how to learn something: mathematics, chemistry, biology, physics. Now, in the context of college study, oftentimes you will be forced to learn on your own. Okay, although we have different experts at the university, but one of the very important lifelong skills is to enable you, each one of you, to learn to learn. Now, we know that in the specific major, you have a lot of content knowledge to study, and so the leadership of this university developed general education as part of the 4-in-1 education model to give you a chance to acquire this very important skill, learning to learn. So what is entailed in learning to learn? Well, you will be finding out more and more week after week in this course. First of all, you need to understand the difference between this course and the major course is to help you to transition from a taught to learn model to a learn to learn model based on this idea that is trying to see something. All right? Okay, in any course of study, the first thing you need to look for is the center, learning center syllabus. Okay, the syllabus of this course. So, because I love the trees, I do not want to waste paper, so I did not prepare for each one of you a paper-based syllabus. But in case you need the syllabus, click on this link, and the syllabus comes up to you directly. You can read it. Okay. So what you need is to go to the Moodle environment, click on the link at the very top of the environment, which is called Learning Center Syllabus, and you can see the syllabus of this course. So let's walk into the syllabus of this course, and it's a GE course, the General Education course. That means it's a course under the IT and Knowledge Society specific sections, which is again under the Science and Information Technologies area in the 13 areas of GE educations at the University of Macau. It's a course which will give you 3 credit. That means you will have 2 contact sections each week, and each section lasts for 1.5 hours. So it's 2 times 1.5 hours. It's not a hands-on course. I hate to say that, but the general education course with this particular title is not a hands-on course. That's why we do not have a computer room to stage this course. But fortunately, you can always bring your own device here. Bring your own device. BYOD. Okay. Those of you who have mobile phones, who have iPads, who have mini pads, or notebook computer, you are welcome. Please feel most welcome to use them in class. You need them because we need to use the devices to get the knowledge around. It's at the fingertips, at our fingertips. All right. So we're going to study web technology, and we're going to see how web technologies impacts our living. Okay. So we call this course Web Technology and Life. Well, what do you mean? Well, today, I do not need to tell you that I think 95% of you have your mobile phones ready, and when you open up your mobile phone, most of you should have WeChat or WhatsApp. All right? So you have experience of using some kind of technology. The question is, what if you do not have you cannot use WeChat or WhatsApp anymore today? Well, what are you going to do? Well, I got the particular habit of checking WhatsApp every day. is very hot, and today we have to talk about it in the context of Web 3.0. So the impact of the web in our daily living, particularly in the examples of college years, we do not have that kind of convenience 10 years ago, but we stopped to enjoy that about 5 years ago when it gets mature, and now it's getting much, much more mature. So you do not need to bring a lot of books with you. Indeed, you just need to bring an iPad and bring all the books and notes, whatever you need. And so ask this question: why do our children still have to bear such a heavy school bag every day to go to school? And indeed, many of the secondary school, primary school in town have already proposed that you do not need to force your kids to have that. How many pounds of 20, 30 pounds of school bag for them to go to school every day? And just bring an iPad. And the parents say, I'm afraid that with the iPad, the eyesight of my kid is going to be affected because they look at the iPad and the refractive index is so high. And so one thing got rid of it is the weight, and now that comes up is the problem with the eyesight. So how can we deal with that? And then if smart people will say, well, let's try to use some kind of device which has a much, much better in the context of refractive index so that our kids do not need to be affected so much. And then you can buy this kind of iPads, all right? They come up with the Kindle versions of book reading. Well, these are very interesting technology stuff which has impact in our daily living and also have impacts to the computer user and the industry. All right, so I've just given you a very interesting, but a little bit of the versions of the impact in our daily living. So we do have a textbook, but actually it's available in the library. It's expensive, so as long as you come back to the UM site, it will be good enough because I personally have extracted everything in this textbook and put it piece by piece into the UM websites. And so on one hand, I do not violate the publication rights. On the other hand, it's convenient for my student. You can save big bucks. All right, so make sure you use the Moodle environment. All right, we do have a couple of what we call references. Okay, they are also available in the library. By judging on those references, you can see that we are mainly looking into several key applications for the study of this course. We're looking at e-learning, and e-learning make the best use of blogs, podcasts, wikis, social bookmarking, discussion forums, mainly is an interactive medium. We're also interested to look into the e-business model. For example, the Taobao, okay, the eBay, the Amazon, okay. We're also interested in looking into e-government, okay, how governments making the best use of the web technologies and mobile technologies to make our life easy. All right, so 3 major areas: e-learning, e-business, e-government. All right, so let's move on. After the textbook, which you can get it from the library, make photocopy on your own, make the best use of the website, and study the resources on the website, which is equivalent and things like this. But personally speaking, as your teacher, I expect you to get ready, because in this course you will have a lot of chance to work together with other people, and we call this group-based project work, okay? And actually, if you just work alone, it's not the idea of learning to learn. Learning to learn oftentimes involve the collaborations and the cooperations with other partners, all right? So the second thing is you need to make the best use of the Moodle at university account. We call this Moodle, okay? And another very important mentality that I expect you to have is learning is not just sitting there in every class we meet. It's not a spectator sport, and you don't just go to a classroom as if you go to watch a music concert, all right? So learning by itself is basically a down-to-earth, practical, learn-to-learn process, means you have to do something in order to learn it, all right? So just by listening may not be enough. So be objectives? Three. Very simple. The first one is I will teach you, okay, just to make sure you feel comfortable, the basics on what is meant by web technology and some of the basic concerns, okay, in our daily living. I will give it to you, okay, through my lecture, through PowerPoints, through videos, okay, which is available on YouTube. A lot of the time it's basically through video. I call this edutainment, educations with entertainment, to engage you, to put you into the learning process. That is called your internalization process. You internalize knowledge by listening to me, by watching what is prepared for you, so you absorb, okay? The second thing is to encourage you, after you have internalized the knowledge, to externalize it, put it up, okay? The way to do this externalization is to formulate your perspective on a specific web technology or on a specific design of web technology and express them through discussions, conversations, written forum, report, journal, blog, your digital story. So you have different things to do. You might want to study a newspaper story which talks something about the use of technologies and how it affects our life. You might study a piece of work which is in a journal or publications. You might want to listen to someone talking to you something about this impact of technology. And in the context of the classroom, all of us is going to learn this in a safe environment. No one is going to laugh at you if you happen to make a mistake. We are here to learn. This is a modern society. We actually cannot escape the impact of this technology. So what can we do? So the third important learning objective, it's, we know that, Yes, see, it's, the web has something different today. Okay, anyway, I tell you, the third of this learning objective is to raise your awareness of the impact of the technology. What is meant by awareness? Okay, let me give you an example. The buses in Macau are often filled with pickpockets. Okay, now I'm the kind of person who seldom go on buses, except that when my car or automobile has to get into the repair shops. Okay, and my wife just told me, you got to be careful when you go to buses because many people are very skillful in picking the pockets. And so I say, okay, I'll be very careful. But because I seldom ride the bus, because I often drive my car, at one time after taking my car to the repair bin, I sat on the bus and I enjoy the route very much. I sat on the window. And I do not pay attention to the person who sat next to me, who's doing something. I don't know until when I try to get off the bus and I feel a little cool on my mind. What happened is the whole of my trousers was cut open. And they would like to steal my pocket. Unfortunately, it's still there. They cut it open, I don't even notice throughout the time I sat on the bus. I simply do not have that kind of awareness, and I need to pay attention. So the awareness means what? It's the kind of thing that is built into your thinking model that you've got to be careful. And what I'm trying to tell you, the third thing which I would like to help you is to raise your awareness of the sensitivity of the applications. Let me give you an example. When iPhone was released a couple of years ago, everybody was amazed because it's such a small device. It contains so many different functions, and it's so good. Everybody loves it. At one time, it was discovered that the iPhone had some kind of technology which is called tracking technology, which is automatically turned on by the manufacturer, Apple's there, when it was built, so that it would keep sending data back to the Apple control center. And husband as a birthday present. And then the woman becomes suspicious. Let me try to see what my husband is doing. And they hide a private eye and look in the data of the iPhone. And she discovered that her husband has an affair with another woman. That is an interesting thing, all right? Technology. And then everybody knows that. Why didn't the Apple company tell us that this is something they're collecting for us? But Google is doing something similar. When you use the Google or Firefox to do your web serve, they could use the data collected by looking into their behavior in visiting which website and give you oftentimes what we call product recommendations based on your survey history. Okay, and they do not consider that as invading your privacy. And sometimes when you use your Gmail, you will see something similar. Are they looking into your email? Okay, that is interesting. That is the issues of information security and privacy. All right, so that's very interesting. Ways to awareness of technologies in our living. All right, so let me go back to the website first. I do not know, because when I try to show you something, even a PDF document in this room, maybe the bandwidth is not good enough, but it looks like it's okay. Okay, so what we are trying to tell you is the 3 specific objectives of this class. Okay, let me do this. In this particular website, called the Your Moodle website, you will discover that you have altogether 16 blocks like this, and each block represents 1 week, except for the end block and the end block, which is the semester record. So each week you will have a specific block like this, which can take 3 parts. The day 1, day 2, a specific topic for this week, the way we're going to execute our learning there, and some of the headings, including the readings for the week, the learning practice for the week, which is based on the traditional model of teachers teaching you. And then the most important thing for each week is something like before class activity, during class activity, after class activity, and end of the week activity. The idea of doing this is to give you a better picture of what we are going through, even though you cannot follow them all. And these are not meant to be assignment, okay? Even you did not do any of this, okay? It's not a big problem as long as you manage to produce the work. But if you follow this pattern to look into your learning process, I can assure you your learn-to-learn process will be very much put in good place at the end of the semester, because that is a very important learning foundations. Before you come to class, you need to review what you need to do, what you're going to study. During the class, there's some activity we would like to perform with you, and you need to participate. After the class, you'll see what we have done and what we're supposed to get out of this. And end of the class activity, end of the week activities, look back to what we should have learned in the week and what we need to prepare for next week. And for a sequence of 14 weeks, these are very important activities. Okay, so this is the teacher's responsibility. And then here we go. Now, on each day, I've given you something very specific. For example, on date number 1, I've given you a number of links here, which will give you some information about this course. I've given you the Moodle environment, but beside the Moodle environment, I've also given you a support environment to support this Moodle environment, because you are in section 2. I just finished section 1 on the other building. And then they share the same information. Okay, so basically the two sections will do something similar and use the same information. The course home here is a support website. Okay, when I click on this, we'll be brought to the support website. Okay, which will carry something similar to what I just said. All right. So in the support website, the course learning objective is here. So even though the PDF is not there, we still can see that. To raise students' awareness of the impact of web technologies on daily living and widespread focus of the web influence in various sectors of modern living through practical discourse, how use of web tools for purposeful human endeavors. Why do you need to use them? Well, as a student, you need to use them to help you study. You have to learn something, okay? But what's the advantage and what are the disadvantages? Okay, so these are very interesting things. So let's come back here, which is again here. The second thing is the syllabus, which I've already given you, unfortunately, is not well transmitted here. But okay, now the calendar is very important. Now in this course, we have altogether 14 weeks. So each week, you can see we have a particular topics. So week number 1 is basically introductions. The coursework to encompass nothing in this week. But starting from the second week, we say we would use the following 3 weeks, 2, 3, 4, as our first learning contract to help you to learn something about module 01, module 02, and 3, module 04. Now, in designing the GE courses in the specific area called IT and Knowledge Society, no matter which GE course you take, you will have a 4 common modules. So the first learning contract is devoted to the 4 common modules. At the end of that, you have to submit something, okay? We have designated some items which could be used in master's learning. Those items will be introduced to you in a minute. And then the second learning contract from week number 5, 6, and 7, another 3 weeks, okay? And on topic 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? 4 specific topics. You can see the topics down there. And so at the end of that, we'll invite you to submit another set of learning items, which you have to design it on the specific topic. And after that, we'll come to the third learning contracts from week number 8, 9, and 10, another 3 weeks. And we call this learning contract number 3. So, in this course, you actually have 3 major assignments: learning contract number 1, learning contract number 2, and learning contract number 3. Now, in each of these learning contracts, the most important thing is you need to identify one topic of interest. And based on that topic of interest, you try to do some investigations, and then you position the artifacts of the investigations and submit those artifacts, all right? And in the first learning contract, it's basically a pair work. You need to work with one learning partner. In the second learning contract, it's basically a pair work plus teamwork. So you have 2 pairs come together as one team, all right? In the third learning contract, you have to do it as a team, but you also have the options, if the class is very large, to put together 2 teams, okay? So basically, you have pair work and teamwork, and then large teamwork, if possible. So after that, you will come to have a midterm exam, which is normally on this particular week. And after the midterm exam, you have 4 more weeks left, okay? Actually, 3 or 4. Let's see. Okay, we have 4, okay? 4 more weeks left, and this 4 more weeks will be devoted to a project we call it a learning portfolio. The learning portfolio is basically put together the 3 topics you have already done in the first 3 learning contracts, and you need to pause, okay? Basically, they need to pause. Or you can come up with a new topic and to continue explorations. In the specific context of a learning portfolio, it asks a very important question. What have I learned in this course? What can I put into practical use in this course? Or what can I put into proper perspective in this course? So then you need to produce a digital storytelling and have a forum to share with the whole class. And at the end, we have the semester review, and the last week we do student course evaluations. And because this course has classes on Thursday, and based on the school calendar, we still have 1 more mega class on the 29th of this, maybe the 2nd of December, okay, for the Thursday class. That's the last day of classes here. Okay, so you know that you have to do 3 major assignments in this course. You have to do 1 midterm exam. You have to do 1 project, which is called a learning portfolio. There is no So now let's take a look at the assessment of this course. Okay, here we have reading. In a minute, we'll come back to that. Assessment. Assessment means based on the work you do, you will be given a score. Okay, so based on this particular assessment scheme, the first learning contract is 10% of the 100% final score. The second learning contract is again 10%, and the third learning contract is again 10%. So these are basically assignment. So it does not occupy a very large score. So even though you did not do a good job, you still can learn a lot with a relatively low risk of losing out the score. And then for the learning portfolio, it will be increased to 20%. So that means out of 100% score, you have 50%. And what about the other 50%? Look, that is a very important design to enable you to learn to learn. In the process of doing your learning contract 1, learning contract 2, learning contract 3, you must be doing a lot of research, reading, discussions, journaling, we call it, note taking. We will pay you back, okay, from another channel, which is called Learn to Learn activity. That means even though these activities are not explicit in the product of learning contract 1, 2, or 3, you can claim them back to have 15% of the final score here if you keep a good records of your work, okay? And that is very important. That means I do a lot in my learning contract, but after submitting this work, I didn't get all I expect, even though I did a lot of work. Oh, it's okay. That is based on the product evaluations. But if you did a lot of work and keep a good record of these, such as I collect informations for 3 topics, I wrote 3 journals for this, but for the learning contract number 1, since it's expected only 1 topic, so out of the 3 journals, I just select 1 journal. Now, but since you did 3 journals, okay, so as long as you state here from which time to which time I did what with records on the Moodle environment, including things like this, you will earn 15%. Okay? That is formative assessment. That means your work will not be evaluated on a point form based on a test, based on the product of the work. It will also be evaluated based on the frequency of your hard work as long as kept as good record. So in the past semester, many students become very encouraged because they know that even though this is hard work, I may not obtain very high mark, but it's just 10%. But if I could show in the Moodle environment that this is what I did, you will be getting back 15%. For example, I did 10 things, but when I submit learning contract 1, I just expressly use 1 out of 10 things to claim my score there. I didn't get a very good score because I didn't pay attention. That was okay because you did 10 things, you did 10 people, all right? So normally, because we have 14 weeks, and the first 10 weeks we cover a different topic. I hate to use the word cover. We inquire different topics, okay? So we encourage you to use your time to put into some efforts into the inquiry of each topic and keep your records here, okay? It's 15%. Another very important item is the in-class participations, and that is your time to come up here, pick up the microphone, introduce to your whole class what you did on a specific topic. You want to present to them something you discovered. You want to discuss with them a very interesting topic which pops up in the newspaper. Or you want to just share with the whole class some of the basic concerns in wanting a particular teams. Because normally, when you go into teamwork, you have different kind of problems. So, what are you going to do here? Starting from the second week, okay? Because we have 75 minutes per class, I will talk not more than 30 minutes. After the first 30 minutes, I'm willing to study. So that is a very important piece of policy to encourage individual students to come up here to share what you did for the whole class. In the meantime, use that sharing or in-class participations to earn a score. All right? So do not miss all this. I just have a couple of students over the past 5 years who, towards the end of the semester, asked me, "Sir, can we do that? Why didn't you tell me earlier?" I said, "It's already in the syllabus." And I explained it in the first day of the class, and you see that every week you can see that I have a call for participations in the public discussion forum. What you need to do is just respond, register your time slot. Each student normally have not more than 5 to 10 minutes time here, because in a matter of 30 minutes, if I have 5 minutes per student, 6 students could do it. If I have 10 minutes per student, normally it's for groups, I only have 3. So this 20% is, you can actually obtain this along the way. Now, why is this kind of system set up? Because, as I said, in the context of general education, it's different from the major course. In the major course, I need time to pass through the content knowledge. But in the general education course, this is not my major concern. The major concern is to engage you into the learning process. And so things like this are welcome. Now, make the best use of that when you are aware of that, okay? And you can earn your score. And when you add this up, it's already 50%. So, you understand the meaning of that? So, it's very important that you know the assessment scheme. But once we have already explained that, let's come back here. We have walked through the calendar. The reading is very important. As your teacher, I need to provide you with enough material on each of the topic covered in the, better say, inquire in the semester. Let me show you the topics first. And these are topics, okay, that we're interested in the semester. In the first week, we say, let's call it coming to terms with Web 2.0 in our daily living. So this week, we're going to give you some time to think about this, such as this web technology make your life better. The second week, we start the common module number 1. It's called Introductions to IT and Knowledge Society. What is meant by IT, information technology? It's a piece of technology. It's a piece of technology that makes use of information, but it's high impact in our living. And also we are living in a world which is very much characterized by knowledge, and we call this knowledge society. Now, but what does it mean? Okay? Well, I'll give you an example. Macau used to be a city where from the 1960, actually 1950, to the late 1980, it's very much a manual work society. People earn the living by doing a lot of the manual work in the context of producing products using very skillful people, the baskets, and then the garment factories. The garment factories got a big hit, and then the knitwear, okay, and then now, no, we do not see a lot of the productions here because of the transitions of this particular city into a surface-based economy. But because of the knowledge around, we are also upgrading ourselves from a service-based society to a knowledge society. One very good example is if you look at the investment at the University of Macau by the government. Okay, we are investing a lot into the next generation, so you enjoy this kind of classrooms and new campus. So this is very interesting. And then the second module is ethics and social responsibility in the information age. I'm just giving you an example of iPhone. The information age is so convenient, but ethically speaking, it's acceptable because they could make the best use of tracking your whereabouts without your knowledge. And what's the social responsibility of getting those data? And we call this a big data society, where they put together a lot of monitors at school, at home, even in the city libraries. In many places inside China and also around the world, they have nothing. Okay? A divine means those who have the advantage of using the devices and technology, and those they do not have advantage of using this. And in the 21st century, the digital divide is much more visible. And the fourth module is information literacy and competency, is how well are you in managing informations to achieve your aims. For example, if you want to go into a specific business, look for a particular job, have you got enough of the informations in the job market on the number of positions there and the needs of those who will be in their positions? So information literacy is how you develop your problem, how you come up with sufficient information to support your development of the problem, and come up with the solutions. In the context of writing an essay, do you have enough of the relevant information to support your viewpoints? Can you manage to present them for people to understand this? Okay, then a specific topic 1 to 7 are those of very specific Web 2.0 technology in the context of e-learning and edutainment, blogs, wikis, collaborations. This is just like publishing something for people to watch, to read, and give feedback. This is getting people involved in collaborations. This is taking a picture and put it everywhere, put it in a place where you can take it everywhere, anytime. RSS is very simple syndicate. It's a summary form of information which will push to you when you order it. For example, subscriptions to a newspaper, just like everyday news will come to you. Podcast, it's information's coming to you in the form of sound, voice-based informations, social bookmarking. You can share your bookmarks with other people when you put it somewhere in the crowd. Mash up is the mixture of different things. Virtual office applications today very much promoted by the Google applications. Tagging is basically how you put a label on something on the web. Taxonomy is the Fuchs method to categorize something. So social web is how you can get engaged with different people over the web. Social networking and social web belong to the same thing, but this is most often supported through the platforms and in the e-business model like the Amazons, the Taobao, the e-governments like in Macau. You do not need to go to a specific government office to do that. You can download the form, fill in the form, and send it to. E-learning is just like the University of Macau, we do have the Moodle environment, so that you can have 24/7 convenience to learning resources. When we try to put all of these things into perspective, it has certain impact into our own living. So our job in this semester is to look into each one of this and come up with examples good enough for us to learn the basics so you can internalize them, for you to externalize your experience, and to heighten awareness of your or thinking about those technologies and the impact in our living. So now let's go back here. How can we help you to know something specific in each one of these topics? I provide with you 14 weeks of reading. Now, I do not mean you need to read them all. No, you need to selectively read one topic per week. Okay, make sure you get up to 7 8. And remember, for your first learning contract, it's basically cover week 1 to week 4, and out of many topics there, your responsibility is to come up with one that will be good enough for you to present in your learning contract number 1. But before you say it's good enough, you must have the consensus of your learning partner. So, next thing you need to do is to make sure you know one another, and there's 3 other friends in this class, so that you can pick one as the learning partner. Let's go to one reading list. So a typical reading list is something like this. For example, in week number 1, our major concern is what is web technology and its impact in you a number of those links, okay? And I do not mean to read them all, but for me it just use about an hour's time to go through them, and I believe each link provides something that is meaningful. So the first question is, what is web technology and its impact on life? The second question is, what is information privacy? What is information privacy? I just got a scan, and then you got something like this, all right? So your job is, as an information processor, after you've gone through some of this, well, should I pick this one to investigate my understanding of this? Should I pick this one to investigate my understanding of what technology is and its impact in life? And so you have 14 reading displays. Well, I do not force you to use my reading list, okay? Even though in the learning contract artifacts you're going to submit, if you don't use my reading list, I would not charge you anything, as long as I could see that you have paid attention to this and put your heart into doing it, all right? So as a teacher, it's my responsibility to give you these resources, all right, to start with. So having said that, this is the submissions, all right? Now this is the time when you need to submit something. You need a learning partner, so starting from next week, I hope that you can find a learning partner in this class, and you can provide me the information of your learning partner through your Moodle personal forum. Where is the Moodle personal forum? Okay, let me show you this. In each week of the Moodle, for example, this is week number 1, towards the end of that, I've given you some tools to track your learning. So in the tools, you have your online journals. You can type something here as your notes taking. You can engage your partners here with whole class to discuss about your finding. And here is your hotline. This is your personal forum. Because each one of you will have a dedicated channels there. And only you and I communicate. No other people can read it. But if you go to the public online discussion forum, the whole class will read your discussion. So you can use this channel to send me the name and the student ID of your fellow student. But remember, these channels will be opened up starting this Thursday. Okay, starting this Thursday. Okay, having said that, at the end of this class, you will also have the first week of the class questionnaire. So let's take a look at that. The same set of informations, all right? It's again here. About the course. Here we go. One thing that I must give you is this. Now, for those of you who are so much oriented towards the traditional taught-to-learn model, as a teacher, I cannot just ignore you. I must provide help, so that's why I provide this learn and practice link. If you do need help to learn, just like in the past, I need a teacher to tell me what to do. Go to the learn and practice for learning contract number 1. And here I've given you everything that is extracted from the textbook, okay? Including the PowerPoint, including the basics on each chapter, okay? Including some discussion question pair exercise. And so you can actually go through this and you could have a lot of information, all right? So these are some additional informations which you can read from different references, which is available from the library, and those references are provided here, okay? Look at the suggested references here, okay? They use the same up there, so do different things. So, most of the students at this point will understand that I love to use news media as an incision point to help you understand the impact of web technologies in your life. For example, in 2007, the PBS, the public broadcasting stations in the United States, produced the first documentaries called Growing Up Online, which explores teenagers in high school and the impact of technologies on the study and the personal living. And then about 2010, they produced a follow-up, which is about college students, okay, in the university, and how the new release of the technologies, a new wave of technologies that impact the learning. So they come up with digital nations. And there's one more, which is produced in 2012 or 2013. It's called The Generation Like, which explored the impact of Facebook on college graduates. But all of these I've already given you here, and it's in the second week. It's the second, yeah, right here. Day number 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay. What you need to do is click on the link, and you can get the resources. So my approach here is very simple. You have everything for the course in the next 14 weeks already there on the websites. I do not need to hide them from you. Okay. My job is to help you to pick what you need. Now each one of you might pick different things because everyone could have a choice. Okay. But in the class, I will use something in common to stimulate you to think and to see what you can do about this. All right? And when you get home, you use these devices to keep track of your learning, bit by bit, pieces by pieces. And towards the end of the semester, when you look back on the journeys of learning, you can go back to each week and pick up things like this. Okay? You can go to the learning contract where you have already produced your artifacts, and you can actually export them and import it into your personal Mahara portfolio, which is your residential college requirement. It's very important. Okay? So my job here is to remind you the journey is important. The journey. Okay? And when you spend time in class, make sure you understand the focus and what you're looking for. Because the class is different from the major course. In the major course, my job is to make sure everybody got the same content. And then I need to set up tests and I need to set up project to make sure you acquire the same skills. But in the context of this general education course, because I've given you many resources, and each one of you are free to choose. Okay? But that is the challenge. So my role here is to help you to get the best out of this with a method which is consistent enough, even though each one of you might choose different things. Now what does it mean? So let's come back here. In the context of this course, there is something called learning design. Okay? Learning designs. I must tell you something about this. The learning designs means we want to transition you from a taught-to-learn model to a learn-to-learn model, but there got to be some steps, okay? There's some step, what is meant by learn-to-learn. And when you contrast this with the taught-to-learn model, what are the differences? And if you look at the teacher's message I sent to you today, I've already given you a table, okay? The table invites you to think about your high school days. Hopefully all of you mostly from high school or in college. The difference between what we call the coverage approach and the inquiry approach. And the approach means the different way to do things. Okay? So go back to read the teacher's message I sent to you, and you will understand much better from a different perspective. But the learning design here is very important. If you go to the 3 learning contracts in the website, the first learning contract is based on IBM. Inquiry-based learning is a very important way for you to carry with you throughout your college years. Inquiry means asking questions, asking appropriate questions, okay? Asking focused questions. You don't just memorize things. And indeed, in this course, we do not need you to memorize things. We do not have exam which asks you to reproduce knowledge. Even the midterm exam you will soon see is basically discussion type questions. So IBL is basically one method of learning, okay, which will enable you to understand perspective and asking appropriate questions. And when you know how to ask appropriate questions, you understand how to look for your answer. One typical example of inquiry-based learning is the OIA practice. The O means observations. Observations with our eyes, listens with our ears, taste with our tongue, touch with our hands. Observation. We collect data from outside each one of us. Okay? Observe. The second thing is the I, interpretations. Interpretations is another way to questions. Why? What? How? Where? When? Who? Remember those. How many W's there? And how many H? Okay? So, and finally, the A means applications. Application means lessons to be learned. What can we learn from this? So after your observations, you collect a lot of information. You come to the questioning part. What does it mean? The interpretations. Once you got some meaning out of the situation, you ask, what can we learn from this? All right? One of the very interesting example happening around us in the past 3 weeks in Hong Kong, unfortunately it's not many such cases in Macau, is that today in Hong Kong, many people receive phone calls. Phone call from people who claim to be government officials from inside mainland China, telling them they are in trouble. For some cases, these are businessmen. For some cases, they have children studying inside mainland China. For some cases, they have family member working inside mainland China. And the people calling those in Hong Kong have got the very private information of each one of the persons they call. And so they create stories using those private information. And they use the phone call as a hook to let those people willingly pay them money. And many people lose a lot of money because of that. Okay, we say, what are the observations? Second, what are the interpretations? Third, what are the applications? What lessons we need to learn? And then we come back to the idea, what if they're calling me today? Now in Macau, our judiciary police have been doing a lot of hard work to remind elderly people when they receive phone call from people saying that the kids have problem, they need to do what and do what. These are codes. Now we have to watch commercials like this. But besides this, what IBL can teach us, inquiry-based learning, okay, is basically a thinking process which will help you to deepen your knowledge. What's the advantage to deepen our knowledge? We can always get them back easily. We will not forget them easily. Okay? IBL. The second method, which we're going to help you to learn, is called the SRL, which is very much emphasized in the second learning contract. SRL is basically an IBO process, but on top of that, we ask the specific immediate goals of doing things, the specific timeline of doing things, the specific constraints of doing things. I mean, besides you have the freedom to ask any 3 questions, you need to consider, what are you doing this for? How much time you have to do that? And why do you need to carry on with that? Do you understand your constraints? For example, everyone would like to study for an exam and go, a very good grade A. But how much time do you need to study is enough? Particularly, if you have an exam 2 days away, you have 2 days time, how are you going to study? You have constraints, you have timeline, you must have goals, okay? And the third, to help you to learn, it's problem-based learning. Problem-based learning is PBL, which is a group-based process where you try to put together people so that you have twice the amount of resources to solve a problem than only one person's. If I have one person's and I work 3 hours a day, I just have 3 hours. If I have 2 persons and each one could work 3 hours a day, in 1 day I have 6 hours. Okay? You have to understand things like this. And problem-based learning is basically excited by a real-life problem. And the team of people select this problem because they value the problem. It brings meaning to them. Meaning carry with them knowledge. Okay? So it's a very exciting process. And finally, when you put together what you've done in IBL, what you've done in SRL, and what you've done in PBL in your learning portfolio, that's your integrative learning. That's how you put things together, connect different knowledge together, and so you can come up with your learning process, something substantial, and then it's something you should feel proud of. Okay? No one can take away this learning experience. Okay, so that is a little bit of the learning design. Read them. And I've also given you the basic competence expected for you to do this, and the matching of some course per item you can consider to work out when you do something like this. So as a teacher, this is how I think about to help you the transitions from a taught-to-learn model to a learn-to-learn process, which is quite different from just telling you in the context of teaching calculus that this is differential calculus, how are you going to work out this as a technique. It's basically is a process of learning itself, all right? So I think I'm going to stop here because it's already 12:30. Now I'm going to tell you that in each class, starting from next class, I should skip that one 30 minutes, and I will skip the second 30 minutes, mostly for your interactions with some of the resources, and some you to come up here to share, and the last 15 minutes starting from now for you to ask questions. So in the meantime, I want you to try one thing. Now try to come up online to this website, okay? And once you get online to this website, come to this social forum and say hello to the whole class. Hello, I am who and who from which college. Can you do that with your mobile phone? Can you try? Okay? Come to this website, Moodle environment. Okay? So, and then when you're on this website, go to the first block. Okay? The first block is here. And underneath here, there is something called a social forum to share a good idea. Can you come here and leave a message? Greetings, hello, I am who and who, and from which faculty, with what major, so that everyone will have a records today. This is the kind of interactions we can expect. Okay, this is the simple activity for today. All right, you have 15 minutes time to do it. Oh yes, in case you do not know how to get to the Moodle environment, what you need to type is webcourse.umac.mo, and once you're here, click Moodle. When you click on Moodle, they will ask you to log in, and if you're already logged in, this is log out. If I log out now, and you will be brought to this page to log in. So you click on log in, you will be brought to this page, okay? Because I'm already logged in already. So, and then you come here to click on sections number 2. And for you, you need to type in your user ID and your password, all right? let's see. Looks like the aircon has not been turned on yet. That's why we feel a little bit heat. All right, sorry for that. Can you do that? Thank you. Yes. Just leave a message. Hello, I'm who and who. I'm John. My major is economics. I stay in, say, MCM college, something like this. Normally we just have about 20 minutes of attention span. I've already spoken for 40 to 50 minutes. I'm sorry, I need to give you a break. Yes, almost there. So that course. Here. Students. Yes, yes. Then you just kind of course of your PC. Student ID at PCM at clearance. It's easy, so just try. Can you do that? Have you done this? Let me check. Let me check. Yes, we got the first one. Coco. Yes. Yes, Coco, it's communications. It's a PJC network. Can you do that? Let's see. Let me see. I can help you. You type web course. Oh, make it. So the first block is social. Yes. Just add it. Yes. Yes. Needs help? Help? So you go to web course. Email password first. Let's make sure you log in first. Yes, we got one and one. Okay, let's see. We have it's okay. Give it time to do that. Yes, we got 4 students already. Thank you. Just take your time. You use your password, which is the same as your email password, okay? Log in. So it's a very good pace. Normally in each class we have something like a social discussion forum. I'll pose some questions, and then you just try to discuss the questions from your perspective. Normally we watch a short video first, and I will share with you some important questions, and you provide your perspective, and you collect information from other people's perspective. And that's a very useful platform to help us to see one another's response. I hated using to quiz you. That's why it's much more interesting to type in ideas. If you still need help, you just raise your hand. Okay. Wow, that's good. We have 2 more students. You got it. One thing good about the modern mobile devices is it really serves as a small computer. The only exception is this display is not good enough, and sometimes we need to move it around. Yes. Because you're not in, your status is in, then everything should be ready. If they're still here, you just refresh. Thank you very much. You're doing very good. We will encounter the technical problem, but overall, it's not a big problem. It's good. That's good. That's good. Very good. With more than 10 persons got it. So if you can't get it, just keep going, keep trying. Thank you. Very good. Can you do that? Thank you. That is very, it takes a while to get used to it. Very good. Very good. We have almost half of the class there. Okay, now another thing I would like to show you is the attendance record. So here you can see the attendance record. So I'm going to take attendance. The way to do it is very simple. I need to add AC. Are you here? Not here. Okay. And then lock E ping. Are you here? E ping. Not here yet. Okay. And then Shui Jing. Shui Jing. Are you here? Not here. Okay. And then Ga Hong. Are you here? Thank you. Pancake. Pancake. Are you here? Okay. Not here. Lock E. Thank you. And then Nan. Thank you. Xiu Git. Thank you. Jia Xian. Thank you. I need to pronounce your name much better. Vincent. Here. Thank you. Latali. Thank you. Yang Yu. Yang Yu. You're not here. Okay. And then it's Yin Fo. Thank you. Thank you. Kai Fei. Ji Fei. Thank you. Yu Tong. Yu Tong. Not here. Okay. Apple. Apple. Hilton. Are you Hilton? This one. Yeah, Apple. Okay. Sorry. Coco. Thank you. Jim Hong. Thank you. Jikin. Thank you. And then EK. Not here yet. Okay. Park Yu. Thank you. Manker. Thank you. And then Zhanda. Thank you. Tine. It's not here yet? Okay. So, let's save the attendance first. Okay. So we got attendance all finished, but we still have some name here. Jun Tong, are you here? Thank you. Sifu, thank you. Yu Yin, thank you. And then Yuren, not here yet. Hazel, thank you. Thank you very much. So we save it again. Okay, so you can see that this is one way to take attendance towards the end of the class. I think I've used up my time today. If you still have questions, you can ask me on the first day, or you can ask me here in the social discussion forum. But remember, the hotline will be on starting from this Saturday, not Saturday's first day. So make the best use of the hotline to keep me in touch in case you have something you want to share. And my office hour, okay, it's Monday from 5 to 6:30, okay, Monday from 5 to 6:30, and then Wednesday from 12 noon to 1:30. So my office locations is on every page here. It's E11 4087, okay, E11 4087. Now you can actually come to my webpage by clicking on this link. This link brings you to my webpage, and right down here, okay, you can see that I have my own office hour here, which I'm going to change. For Monday, it's from 5 to 6:30. Okay, for Wednesday, it's still noon, 12 noon to 1:30. You do not need to have any appointment, just walk in, I will be there. But if you want to see me some other time, you can write me, and so that we can set up a time good for you too. Okay? I hope that I have not said so much today to make you feel information overload, but this is supposed to be a course where you will have a lot of transition or transformations on the process of learning. I hope to see you back here on Thursday. Okay? Thank you very much. Now, before I go, let me double check on your discussions, social discussion forum. I guess many of you have already got this message across. Yes, very good. Thank you very much. If you have not done it here, I hope you do it at home. Alright? So let me stop the video. So that's it for today. CISG 114 section 2, the first day of class, August the 24th, 2015. See you this coming Thursday. Okay?